Hello there, beautiful people, and welcome to the Los Angeles Chargers franchise here on Madden NFL 21. And I am ready to go and get this series started. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the roster, and we're also going to be laying out the plan and the groundwork for the series. But first and foremost, we're going to introduce the new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. Anthony Lynn resigned right before training camp, and he's been replaced by former Baltimore State head coach Chuck McCray Sr., who is coming to coach the Chargers after coaching at USC the past 2 seasons and having a lot of success doing so. So McCray finally in the NFL, getting his first head coaching gig as a head coach. He, of course, led Baltimore State to 3 national championships in a row before leaving for USC. He's won 3 national championships. Can he win a Super Bowl? We'll have to see. Now let's take a look at the Chargers roster, and the first guy we're going to look at is this 6th overall pick from the 2020 NFL Draft, Justin Herbert out of Oregon. Herbert was the 3rd quarterback taken in the 2020 NFL Draft behind Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa. There are a lot of questions around Herbert on whether or not he can be a successful NFL quarterback, but he was drafted to replace Phillip Rivers, and he has a very good arm, and he's actually pretty athletic. So we'll have to see how Herbert pans out. He's not guaranteed to be the starter in week 1 of this series, or even in year 1 at all, as he does have some competition in the form of TYROD Taylor, who's heading into his 9th year in the NFL after spending time with the Ravens, Bills, and Browns, and was the backup to Rivers last year. Taylor isn't the best quarterback in the world, but he won't lose you ball games. He doesn't really turn over the ball very often, so if the plan is to have Herbert just learn for a year, I feel comfortable putting Tyrod Taylor as the starter, but I'm still going to make him compete with Herbert for the starting job. And the 3rd string quarterback as of right now, but still in the mix to possibly be the starter, is Easton Stick, who's heading into his 2nd year out of North Dakota State. Coming out of the same school as Carson Wentz, he's kind of living in Wentz's shadow a little bit. But with Rivers gone, now he has a chance to possibly contend for that starting quarterback job, or at least the backup job behind either Herbert or Taylor. He's definitely a formidable backup quarterback. I don't know if he'll be the starter, but he'll definitely get his opportunities to possibly contend for the job. But one position that we don't have a competition in is running back, as Austin Ekeler is the undisputed starter. He signed a 4-year, $24.5 million contract extension in March, and with Melvin Gordon gone, Ekeler now will get the bulk of the carries for the Chargers. But he's very dangerous in the passing game as well, as he almost had 1,000 yards last year on 92 catches and 8 touchdowns receiving to go along with 557 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. His main backup this year will be Justin Jackson, who got a lot of carries while Melvin Gordon was out with his contract dispute, but his carries definitely dwindled last year after Gordon came back, but he still got a few carries here and there. But he'll have an increased role this year on a more permanent basis, with him being the 2nd back behind Ekeler. At receiver, we got Keenan Allen heading into his 8th year in the NFL. And after an injury-plagued 2015 and 2016, where he missed a lot of time, he's come back with a vengeance and has had 3 solid seasons in a row. He's proven over the past few years that he is a top 10 receiver, and as long as he continues to stay healthy, I have no problem keeping him as the number 1. And the number 2 receiver is Mike Williams, who's coming off his first career 1,000-yard season. He had 1,001 yards on 49 catches and 2 touchdowns. We get 2 more years with Williams, as the Chargers have exercised his 5th-year option. At 6'4", 220, he's one of the more physical receivers in the league, and he definitely has a lot of potential. Not really a burner by any means, but he can definitely make tough catches when he needs to, and he could develop into one of the better receivers in the league. We'll have to add a solid 3rd receiver to the group, because behind these 2, there's really not much to talk about. At tight end, you got Hunter Henry, who's going to be playing the 2020 season on the franchise tag. So we're going to have a big decision to make at the end of this season, whether or not we keep Henry. Obviously, you want to keep Henry. He's a top 10 tight end. And while I wouldn't consider him a generational talent by any means, he's still not an easily replaceable player at all in this offense. And I really do think that he could help Herbert out with his development. We'll just have to see if he wants to stick around. Now, the offensive line on the left side isn't really that impressive. You got Trey Pipkins heading into his second year, then Forrest Lamp at left guard. So we need a lot of help there. Mike Pouncey is still a pretty serviceable center, however. Trey Turner comes over in a trade from the Panthers. And at right tackle, one of the bigger signings for the Chargers this year, Brian Bulaga, the former Green Bay Packer. He is 31, but he's still one of the premier right tackles, or tackles overall, in the NFL. He's a hell of a pass blocker and a decent enough run blocker, so he could end up playing on the left side. But he's undisputedly the best offensive lineman that the Chargers have this season, and we could definitely use him to mentor the rest of the offensive line and help them develop further. Now we go to the defensive side of the football, and Joey Bosa is probably the main attraction on the defense. Now, they haven't updated contracts in this game quite yet, so that's why his contract looks the way it does. But he signed a 5-year, $135 million contract with the Chargers, and he's now the highest paid defensive player in the league. And for good reason. He is a hell of a pass rusher, and just overall a great player in general. He's had 200 tackles so far in his career and 40 sacks. So he can get to the quarterback, he can make stops. He's just so versatile. You can play him pretty much in a 3-4 or a 4-3. Doesn't matter. He's going to dominate regardless. On the other side, you have Melvin Ingram, who's heading into a contract season at the age of 31, heading into his 9th year. He's still one of the better pass rushers on the team and a team captain as well. So we'll have to see what he does this year before we decide whether or not to re-sign him. But I don't know how you can afford Bosa and Ingram, so Ingram might have to be left out, and that's going to suck, but we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. So another big signing, and this one, I mean, pun intended, is Linval Joseph, the former Minnesota Viking, now in the middle of the defensive line for the Chargers. He's heading into his 11th year in the NFL, and he's still one of the better run stoppers in the league, and is a pretty good interior pass rusher as well. He's on a 2-year, $17 million deal, so he's not going to be here forever, but while he's here, he'll definitely be an asset on the defensive line. The Chargers run a 4-3 defense, and right next to him will be Jerry Tillery, the second-year man out of Notre Dame. He was the Chargers' first-round pick last season, and he really didn't make much of an impact at all. Hopefully this year, now that he has a guy like Joseph right next to him, he'll make a bigger impact moving forward. So now we move to the linebacking core, and first we have Uchenna NWOSU, who will finally get a bigger role in the defense this year. He's more of an edge rusher than an outside linebacker, so we'll have to see how he fares at outside linebacker. He might end up getting moved to edge if we feel like Melvin Ingram or Joey Bosa need a spell. But as of right now, he's listed as an outside linebacker, so we'll play him at both positions. We'll see where he fits best, but I definitely want to utilize his speed on this defense. At middle linebacker, we got the heavy-hitting DENZEL PERRYMAN. He's kind of been a disappointment so far in his career. He's had a lot of injury issues, and overall, he just hasn't had the impact on the Chargers that a lot of people were expecting him to have. And now he's in a contract season, so now he really has to prove to the Chargers that he's worth keeping around. Otherwise, DRUE will end up being the starting middle linebacker. So these two are in a bit of a competition. Whoever does better in preseason will most likely be the starting middle linebacker for the Chargers. Tranquill's in his second year out of Notre Dame, and he had 70 tackles last season, second most on the team and the most out of any returning player on the defense. So it's very likely that Tranquill will go into the future as a starting middle linebacker, but I do want to give Perryman one last chance to win the job back. The Chargers' other big first-round pick was Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma, and he fits the 4-3 defense a lot better than most of the linebackers on this team. And I'd expect him to be in the mix for Defensive Rookie of the Year this year, as the Chargers ended up trading up to get him. So we'll see what kind of impact he has on this defense. So now we go to what is expected to be the strongest position for the Chargers this year, cornerback. They have 3 top-tier cornerbacks on this team, and we'll start with Casey Hayward, of course, who's been the star for the Chargers defense for the past 9 years. He is getting up there in age, but is still a solid corner, a top 10 corner even. And he's joined by Chris Harris Jr., who has for a long time been known as one of the best corners in the league. He's heading into his 10th season as well. And so far in his career, only 10 wide receivers have ever caught a touchdown pass against him. People might bring up the fact he only had 1 interception last season, and that's because people are afraid of throwing at this man. The plan is to play Harris in the slot early and often, and his presence with the Chargers just made what was already a scary secondary before even scarier. But don't let these two make you forget about Desmond King. He is one of the better corners in this league as well, and he is really developing into a stud. He did have a bit of a down season last year after an All-Pro year in 2018, but he's still one of the better cornerbacks in this league. And you pair him with Hayward and Harris, this is going to be a scary cornerback trio. There is a little bit of new blood at the free safety position with Nasir Adderley. He missed most of last season with a hamstring issue, but Anthony Lynn was a big fan of him. That being said, with Coach McCray, there's no guarantee that he'll be the starter from day one. The Chargers might make a move between now and week 1 of the season, and we'll have to see what happens with that. But there are no questions at strong safety, as Derwin James has quickly emerged as one of the best safeties in the league. He missed most of last season due to a stress fracture in his right foot, but came back for the final 5 games of the season. But his rookie season was amazing. Now with a full off season to rehab his foot, I think James is primed for a huge year 3 with the Chargers, and he really completes this secondary. As good as they are at corner, Derwin James is really the enforcer for this entire defense, let alone the secondary, and I can't wait to see what he does in this series. At kicker, we got Michael Badgley out of Miami, heading into his 3rd year in the NFL. He is an absolutely amazing kicker when it comes to power. Accuracy he'll have to work on, and Ty Long at a UAB, heading into his 3rd year as well. He just has to work on his accuracy as well. So the Chargers have all of their picks for the next 2 seasons. I don't think this team is completely bad to the point where I have to start trading for draft capital, but I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea of trading for a pick or 2 as we head into the season. So now we head into the practice mode, and I just wanted to practice a little bit with the offense. But anyways, as far as what you can expect for this series, I think I want to go even more in depth than I have in the past. There were certain things I wanted to do with the Buccaneers series that I didn't really end up doing that I think I'll try doing this year. Like, I want to do a lot more with storylines and whatnot. I did do like a storyline where Jameis Winston and Bruce Arians got into a fight or whatever, but that's about it. I want to do more of that this year, and I think one way that I can do that is by making this a 32 user controlled series. Now obviously I'm not going to just make it so I fleece every single team and just have the best roster in the league, like, and it's not even close. I want this to be a fun series. I want this to be entertaining to you guys. So if there's anything you want to see in this series, just let me know in the comment section below. I have a pretty good plan on what I want to do with the series for the most part. But if there's anything that you guys want to suggest that I haven't thought of, I'm definitely open to it. I'm definitely all ears to it. Just let me know in the comment section below. In the next video, I'm most likely going to be playing all 4 preseason games, probably just doing play the moments or whatever. So get ready for that. That should be out. Today's Friday that this video is going up. It should be out on Sunday. So just stay tuned for that. I also have some content with the yard that I'm probably going to put up at some point as well over the next week or so. So stay tuned for that. With that being said, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for coming through and checking it out. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit that like button. And for more franchise and dynasty content on the channel, make sure you guys hit that sub button. And turn your notifications on to join the notification gang. That way every time I upload a video, you guys will be notified. That's going to do it for me though, guys. This has been Kaz from Craniac Gaming. You guys have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, night, or whenever you're watching this. Like I always say, no matter what happens, make sure you keep that mofo rolling. I love y'all 3000. I'm Audi 5000. Deuces.